Winter Campaign Update 5. Welcome, Will.
Yes.
A change of clothes.
Yeah, but I'm not wearing my Christmas jumper.
We are in December, so Christmas jumpers are out. Week 5. What are we going to be talking about this week? We're going to focus on the very easy to say social isolation. Right, I've said that correctly now once, so you know I can say it, but when we keep saying it faster and faster and faster, we won't be able to say it. So welcome, Will. Why is it so different during the winter than it is in the summer? And how does House of Bread deal with that, and what effect do we have on those who are socially isolated? I'm not going to say anything else now for the rest of the video.
Okay. Well, social isolation is more difficult in the winter because actually it's a lot colder. So therefore, by definition, people get out less. And so that isolation is increased. And so one of the things that we really wanted to sort of draw out over this little piece was to talk about how easy it is for people to be isolated and how easy it is to actually try and address that. And I suppose as the nights are drawing in, there's less light, the curtains are drawn, it's probably more difficult to see somebody in their property.
Literally because of the light.
Yeah. And it's part of...
It's a joke.
Yes, I did get that. And it's part of that sort of hibernation feeling that you get in this time of year.
That's a good
and I think...
Yeah.
Part of the increase we're seeing in people who are socially isolated at House of Bread is that we are being successful in drawing people out of their little sort of nests.
Now our place is a lot warmer thanks to the
kitchen. It's well lit and people feel comfortable to relax there, and there's lots of things to do or not to do, just sort of hang out. And it instantly puts you into a place where you can make contact at a level you want. So it's not about putting people from isolation into a place where they feel uncomfortable because there's too many people there. It's about giving them the opportunity of engaging. And I've noticed over the years that once people have got a little idea of that, they begin to feel more comfortable. They don't necessarily change their characteristics. They still might be a little bit shy, but they're just in close proximity of other human beings. Well,
it's interesting you say about not being around a lot of people, and I've been doing something this week and I've been reading up about Cafe 43 and the wording around that, and how we used to do House of Bread on a Wednesday for 2 very intense hours. Everybody would turn up at the same time.
Back in the day.
And yeah, it could get very intense and there was everybody in there at the same time. Whereas with the cafe open all day, there are quiet periods, there are loud periods. When they happen is we've tried to work it out, we've tried graphs, we've tried science.
Yeah, there's not a lot of science.
It just is random. But there are opportunities, especially on a Friday at Bread Church, for people to come along and engage with other people, have that social interaction in a much quieter environment that might suit them more. So Cafe 43 is very, very important, as well as our interactions outside the cafe and the broader sense of what House of Bread does in our connections with vulnerable people out in the world that we sometimes go and visit.
I mean, this particular month, I think we've probably engaged with more agencies who've got an individual who is struggling with social isolation within their lives, and they've made contact with us and said, how could you facilitate a safe place for this person to be, that they would feel comfortable, that and all those sorts of things, so they wouldn't feel threatened in any way, whether that's have a cup of tea or forcing them into a bit of cake or something, which we don't do. And actually we've been very successful in working across an age group and a different mix of people's
people who would never engage outside.
No, and I think that's fascinating. So you're looking at people who are socially isolated.
Oh, you're doing so well.
Who get on together in a smaller group. So Friday works really very well for that. And I think that's the broad appeal for House of Bread, because you can engage, whether you're an agency bringing somebody in to have the provision of our service, or you're a friend, or you're thinking about volunteering.
And social isolation isn't, I'm so impressed with myself because I haven't stumbled up yet. Social isolation doesn't just impact those on a low income, or it can impact everybody. And a lot of our volunteers might find themselves socially isolated during the week, especially on Christmas Day. We get a lot of people who volunteer because they might not be with other people otherwise. And that is an important thing for anybody watching this. If you feel that, you know, if we've mentioned something and you think, oh, that's how I feel, do get in contact, because we'd be happy to speak to you. We've described how we help people with it, Will. How can the people watching this at home, if they feel inspired to help us help people, how can people who are watching this at home get involved and help us out?
So one of the ways that you could help us do it is pay to keep the lights on. Simple as that, you know.
Because if the lights aren't on, people aren't going to be coming in.
So you can make a contribution in lots of different ways, and in a very practical way. You know, we need to trade, as I classically say, we need to trade in everything, including money.
I don't know why I asked that question.
So if you want to give through local giving, I mean, one of the things that has happened in the last couple of days is the winter fuel allowance. People have been incredibly generous in gifting us some, or if not all, of their winter fuel allowance.
There's so many easy ways. There's Facebook now. You can just log on.
That's a great way of doing it, isn't it?
That's really good. Local giving's great. We'll be sending out something about grow your tenner, so you might be able to double your donation. There's loads.
Give
loads
as you
of
live. We're going to be talking about that at the end of the week. Also, sorry to interrupt you. Don't forget, if you're a taxpayer, send us your name and address, and we can claim your tax back through that, which is fantastic. You know,
or you can come down and volunteer. It's not all about money. Money helps, but like Will said, you can come down and volunteer.
Pop it into some of the collection tins that we've got. Yeah, loads of these around. But I think we have to face up to the fact that we are trading in the real world, and we therefore have a requirement to need money, but we want to contextualise it in that the difference you can make from a contribution, large or small, is huge.
Yeah, and the more people give us, this is what we've seen since we've started House of Bread. We've grown because people like you at home have given us stuff and have chatted to people, and somebody goes, oh, House of Bread, I'll nip down there. So if you help us, you will be projecting us down a road where we can help more and more vulnerable people. Right, thank you very much,
That's
Will.
all right, Jack.
Thank you very much, you, for watching at home. Don't forget to check out Hob News over on YouTube, or back here on Facebook on Sundays at 4 o'clock. If I put the right day in the calendar, I messed that up the other week.
So much going on.
We're changing the day we record Hob News, because we usually record it on a Tuesday, and then by the time it comes out, it's old Hob News. Old News. So we're going to record it later in the week, so it should be more up to date. If you want to get in touch with anything you're doing, please send it in to us. We love shouting about the things that people do for us and the things that we are doing. So don't forget to check out Hob News. Thank you so much for watching. Me and Will will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.